Hi everybody, today's presentation is done by me, Talib, and my partner Hafiz. Before we start, here is a short video for you. Golden Eye. Sorry guys, today we are not going to talk about James Bond, Tina Turner, or Golden Eye itself. Today we are discussing about another phenomenon, something that we have read from the research paper, Quiet Eye. So what is this Quiet Eye all about? According to Vickers 2007, it is the stabilization of the retinal picture during which the gaze is directed at a specific position in the visuomotor workspace for a minimum of 100 milliseconds. It occurs before the final movement of a task, and its onset and offset depend on specific movements in the task. It has been suggested that gymnasts use a similar strategy when performing aerial skills with rotation about one or more body axles. Therefore, this leads to the title of the research paper, Evidence for the Spotting Hypothesis in Gymnasts by Thomas Heynen. This article was published in Motor Control in 2011. In the article, it mentioned about visual spotting. The visual spotting hypothesis states gymnasts attempt to fixate their gaze on specific locations to enable the visual system to provide orientation information needed in the performance of an aerial skill. Visual spotting can be seen as a special case of quiet eye because it not only occurs before the final movement of a task, but also can recur in several movement phases. Empirical support for visual spotting is still limited, and there are still gaps in the literature related to visual spotting. In this study, 20 subjects were used, 10 experts, and 10 apprentices. The goal of the current study was to investigate visual spotting in experts and apprentices as they perform a back aerial somersault from a standing position, and also from some preparatory jumps on the trampoline. The next two videos will demonstrate the task assigned to the subject. Let's watch the video. This video shows the subject executing a back aerial somersault from a standing position. There are no preparatory jumps. In the actual research, participant will take off from the middle of the trampoline bed and will ask to land on the middle of the trampoline bed. The next video will illustrate a subject executing a back aerial somersault from a few preparatory jumps.
Alright, so finally we're at proper backflip technique. So when you're doing a good backflip, you should always start with a good straight jump. As you rise, it's not your torso, but your knees that create the flip, coming up and over your head. Then you tuck. Must admit, my head was sticking out a little bit too far, but this is where you spot and finish in your straight jump position. Simple as that. Keep practicing, and you'll get it.
Visual spotting, as mentioned in the previous video, it was highlighted that visual spotting is one of the integral factor for a successful back aerial somersault. The next video will illustrate the common mistake in a back aerial somersaults. These mistakes usually happen because there is poor or wrong visual spotting.
So we're going to start again with the common problems. First off, so don't do it. These next three, which are throwing your head back, leaning back, or arching in the set, all constitute to the same problem, which is traveling way too far, would you say? Pay attention to my set or my head, maybe my back here. You'll notice that I'm traveling way back. Okay, you generally want to land exactly or close to where you started. Looking sideways or over the shoulder when you're starting your back is one of the common problems for beginners. This comes from fear, and most people, when you're starting out, are afraid to lose sight of the ground. So when you turn your head, you either do some crooked sideways backflip or something else entirely. So let's not get into the habit of turning our heads.
So how do we measure this? Gaze behavior was measured using a portable and wireless eye tracking system in combination with a movement analysis system as suggested in the picture on the slide. Three parameters are calculated from the gaze behavior data: their number of fixation ratio, and blink ratio. For this research, the hypothesis is that there were differences in gaze behavior and kinematic between experts and apprentices and between experimental conditions. After analysis of data, this is what we found out. The expert exhibit a smaller landing deviation from the middle of the trampoline bed than apprentices. Experts showed higher fixation ratio during the takeoff and flight phase. Experts exhibit no blink in any of the somersaults in both conditions, whereas apprentices showed significant blink ratio in both experimental conditions. The researchers are aware of some critical issues within the experiment that need to be addressed. The first issue is that tasks assigned to the subject are rather simple for rotation trained athletes that is generally acquired early in the training process. It could be fruitful to assess athletes' gaze behavior in more complex tasks or in tasks with a different structure but similar movement component. Small sample size of 10 experts and 10 apprentices is another limitation with regard to the generalization of our results. Future research should recruit a much bigger sample size or apply power analysis on the result from a small sample size. The researchers did not manipulate visual information picked up but analyzed athletes' gaze behavior in a natural environment. Future researchers may want to manipulate visual information picked up while concurrently measuring gaze behavior. This will help us to understand better how gaze behavior contributes to movement execution in complex movements. The researchers also acknowledge that the correlative relationship they found may not be interpreted in a causative manner. Nevertheless, these correlations may serve in the generation of new hypotheses when assessing the interaction of gaze and movement behavior in gymnasts. So what does this suggest? It suggests that gymnasts can use visual spotting during the back aerial somersault, even when the time of flight is delimited. We conclude that knowledge about gaze movement relationship may help coaches develop specific training programs in the learning process of the back aerial somersault. We hope that our sharing on this article would have given you a better insight of what quiet eyes is. Thank you and have a pleasant day.